a treasure beyond measure, a gift no gold can buy. Who can find a virtuous woman?
Hello and welcome. What if I told you that one song could be transformed into 5 completely different emotional experiences? Today, let's explore how modern technology is revolutionizing the way we think about songwriting and artistic expression. As our case study, we have selected a song entitled I Found Her in Proverbs, written by lyricist Aaron J. Powner. He blended human creativity and AI tools to remix the same song into 5 unique versions from wildly different genres. Our listeners today can find links in the description of this podcast to all 5 renditions of this song on Aaron's YouTube channel.
You know what fascinates me about this case study? It's not just about the technology. It's about preserving the heart of the message while completely reinventing its delivery.
Let's dive into Aaron's original song, I Found Her in Proverbs. He wrote it for his wife. The core of the lyrics is based on that timeless question from Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman? But what makes these heartfelt lyrics special is how the song evolves from searching to discovery to gratitude.
And the way it gets personal in the bridge by naming the songwriter's wife Michelle, that's such a powerful moment that hits differently in each version.
Speaking of versions, let's break down how dramatically different each one is. The Acoustic Soul original sets this intimate tone, warm, conversational, with this beautiful R&B gospel undertone.
That version really lets the lyrics breathe. When you have lines like, she prays when no one sees her, you need that space for the words to land.
Then the Bluegrass remix completely flips the script. Suddenly we're in this joyful, communal celebration. The tempo picks up, everything gets crisp, and it becomes this public testimony rather than a private prayer.
You know what's fascinating about the Bluegrass version? It proves that virtue doesn't have to be solemn. It can be foot-stomping happy.
The Celtic remix brings yet another dimension entirely. There's this traveling song pulse, these ornamental flourishes in the melody that give it this old-world dignity. Suddenly, virtue sounds like heritage being passed down through generations.
And the timbre changes completely transform the meaning. Same words, but now we're imagining green hills and ancient traditions.
Then we hit the orchestral cinematic version, and wow, does it go big. The tempo slows down, the dynamic range explodes, and that bridge becomes this massive emotional peak.
That's where the question, who can find her, feels like it's being asked to the heavens instead of whispered in prayer.
And finally, the Broadway version turns it into this incredible character moment. The phrasing gets theatrical, the rhythm flexes, and you can practically see the spotlight.
That's where naming Michelle in the bridge feels like this raw confession being shared with the audience for the first time.
But here's what really blew me away. The methodology behind it all. The songwriter, Aaron Powner, documents this 3-phase approach he playfully calls the Powner method. Our listeners can also find a link in the description of this podcast for the documentation of his methodology.
Tell me more about these phases. What makes them so special?
Phase 1 is all about source and intent. His initial inspiration came as he was reading scriptures. It's lovely that it made him want to compose a song to his wife. But first, he actually created a comprehensive table of virtues from biblical sources, organizing them into categories like industry, faith, and courage. He built this theological foundation before writing a single line.
That's so different from how most people approach songwriting. They usually start with a hook or a clever rhyme.
Exactly. Phase 2 is structured drafting, where he designed the whole architecture first, verse, chorus, bridge, and then wrote multiple options for every single section. He wasn't only depending on inspiration, he was researching and generating choices. That's the perspiration that has to accompany inspiration to make something really special.
So he's treating songwriting more like sculpture, chipping away at possibilities until he finds the perfect form.
Phase 3 gets really technical with lyrical analysis and refinement. He did detailed metrical analysis of every line, checking syllable counts and stress patterns. That's crucial for working with AI. If your lyrics have consistent meter on paper, the AI vocalist will phrase it naturally.
That's such an interesting point about AI. He's treating it like a session musician rather than a co-writer.
Right. He's essentially producing the AI, giving it specific instructions about vocal character, instrumentation, tempo, and dynamics. The human does all the intentional work. The AI is just performing.
But doesn't that raise questions about authenticity? Is it still his song if AI generated the music?
Here's why I think it is. AI doesn't remove authorship, it shifts it. The human still does all the creative heavy lifting, specifying the feel, the character, the emotional arc of the music and vocals. That's still composition, just in a different form.
And it actually makes music more accessible for lyricists who might not play instruments but have powerful words to share.
Let's break this down for different skill levels. For beginners, you can use the phases as training wheels. Start with one emotion, write one verse and chorus with a clear purpose, draft 3 options, choose the best.
For intermediate writers, I imagine focusing on meter and singability would be key. Reading everything aloud, counting syllables, identifying awkward spots.
And advanced writers can treat remixing as research. Compare versions where harmony does the emotional work versus rhythm. Document everything. Analyze the differences in emotional impact.
What strikes me is how this method forces you to be intentional about every choice.
The universal principle here is protecting what matters. If your song is a love letter, protect sincerity. If it's worship, protect reverence. If it's protest, protect clarity.
And the AI tools just amplify what you give them. Garbage in, garbage out.
But when you give them Powner method level detail, metrical analysis, theological depth, emotional arcs, you get something genuinely moving. Each version feels authentic because the core message is so genuine.
It's a beautiful reminder that technology doesn't have to make art less human. When used thoughtfully, it can help us explore the full spectrum of human emotion.
And that's really the key takeaway. Whether you're writing with a guitar or an AI, the goal is still the same: touch hearts and tell truth. The method just gives us new tools to explore those timeless aims.
You know what? That's exactly what makes this case study so valuable. It shows us how to embrace new technology while keeping our humanity intact.
Looking ahead, I think we're going to see more artists developing structured methods like this, ways to harness AI while maintaining creative control and emotional authenticity.
And that's really exciting for the future of songwriting.
Okay, everyone. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us for this podcast. Remember that you can find links in the description for the 5 versions of Aaron's beautiful song, as well as his documentation of his creative methodology.
Until next time, think on the disciple Paul's encouragement to sing and make melodies in your heart to God. May each of you be moved with inspiration today.